Now I'm being a dick. Sorry, now I'm being a dick. Okay, I know.
Come on, you're an asshole.
No, I had to, now I'm the guy. All right.
We've been rocking since the Sandbox, man. Stop playing with my dog, Scooper Steve. He the man, got plans, bro, to give him what you need. Hot damn, from the court to the field, they elite. I'm saying why, yes, got the hot takes and loose, stay checking. Talking about all the highlights from alleys to interceptions, from tutties to dope receptions and fantasy week projections. And honestly, think you gotta tune in to get the message. Let's go.
Since the Sandbox fans, we're here for Wildcard Weekend. Let's go. Playoff football is here. We're here to give you the previews, predictions, and X Factors. Starting off Saturday, 4:30, two teams that nobody thought was going to be in the playoffs. Well, you did.
I did.
And we flirted with the idea about the Texans, but, we had no idea that would be reality when August, really came around. Browns and Texans, spread is 2.5. We have an over-under of just under 44.5. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on the game. I think both of these teams, I could actually see winning this game. But playoff football is different, and especially for that Houston Texans team full of rookies, I don't know if that's the direction I'm going to go.
This might be the most emotionally invested in a game that I am in the Wildcard Weekend. Because
it's not the Lions, Twan.
I am, dude, but I'm saying, I get it with the Lions, and I like the Rams, but, dude, I love the Texans. I love what they're doing. And, I like the Browns, and that's not to shit on Ant. Truly, I'm not bullshit, trying to stir up a problem for Ant, but
Maybe.
I enjoy watching the Browns do well. Joe Flacco having this resurgence is really, really fun. That defense is good, and it's also I told everyone about the Browns, so it's good for me to toot that wagon.
Yeah.
But CJ Stroud and the Texans are an awesome, fun team. These are two Cinderella stories almost. You have a beat-up Browns team that still somehow made it to this spot, and then you have a Texans team that had no chance of success at the beginning of last year. All of a sudden drafts right, gets a new coach, gets some guys in free agency, and it's not like their roster is just plentiful.
Yeah.
They just play hard. They play well.
I saw a meme, and it was about the AFC North division, and it was the Bengals to the Browns. Obviously, how memes, it's all POV and shit like that. Oh, we didn't get to the playoffs this year because we didn't have Joe Burrow. And it's we're on our fourth quarterback, and Joe Flacco is taking us to the playoffs. So what's your excuse?
Literally.
But I want to get into the game a little bit more in depth. I want to talk about some X factors, and before we go to the next game, I'll get to my predictions. So I feel like in this game, and what we've seen consistently over the Flacco tenure in Cleveland, David Njoku. And I know that the Houston Texans are going to be doing everything in their power to make sure that he doesn't have a successful performance. I just think it's going to be really difficult because I feel like a lot of Njoku's success has kind of came on late in the play, scramble around, and not that Flacco scrambling, in the back of the pocket or anything like that, but it's all right, your route is ran and it's over. What can we still make happen? I feel like that's what Njoku has done really well, and I feel like that has resulted in a lot of his touchdowns. I think Njoku catching 4 or 5 balls, staying active in the game, whether he gets in the end zone or not, is extremely crucial, but the most important player on the Browns is Ford. I think him running the ball and just being able to be consistent, for them to be able to run the pass, run the play action, and just stay true to who they are, the defense is going to keep them in the game. So if you can progress through the field, if you can get to the red zone, I feel like all of that is important. On the Texans side, C.J. Stroud's the big headline. Nico Collins just went for $180, and you have a rookie head coach. Their defense is the X factor for the Houston Texans to win this game. I'm not going to say a specific guy. Everybody as that unit needs to play a crucial role for them to continue to advance. It's already a huge accomplishment for the Texans to be where they are right now. But you could say the same exact thing about the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. It's a great season for them both. I could see them both winning in any format. If it's a defensive game, I could see both teams winning. If it was an offensive game, I could see both teams winning. I think the spread is really close here. I think the losing team doesn't cover the spread. I think this game is decided by more than 2.5 points, if you want me to be honest. My prediction for here is a Browns W. I think it goes under 48, and I think Ford gets in the end zone. If I had a parlay, that's what it is.
So I'm going to kick it off with 2 X factors. I'm going to get specific with it, I think. I am, and I'm going to stay on the Brown side to start. Denzel Ward specifically, the reason being we saw with the Texans that at the end of the season, they had a big win over the Colts. Wasn't an easy win. Who won them that game? It was Nico Collins.
Nico Collins.
So you're going to look at a guy like Denzel Ward, who's one of the premier cornerbacks in the league. You might see his name pop up in a couple weeks here soon. Just wait. But
top 10?
you got to play lockdown. Top 10, Denzel? Oh, my God. I'm already spoiled. He's in there.
I didn't know what you were talking about in a couple weeks.
I don't know. Now I'm being a dick. Sorry, now I'm being a dick. Okay, I know.
So you're an asshole.
No, I had to, now I'm the guy. All right. Sorry, I'm a dickhead. I got it. But Denzel Ward, for me, is the X factor for the Browns. I think if he locks up Nico Collins, I really think you're going to see that offense struggle a little bit. And I'm going to take it to the offensive side of the ball for the Texans because I think the Browns are going to win a defensive game. I think the Texans have a chance to win an offensive game. It's so cliche to say it, but it's got to be this guy. It's going to be C.J. Stroud because he's got to spread the ball. He's got to give the ball to everybody. He's got to run play action well. He's got to be able to dink and dunk to his running backs. He's got to hit Dalton Schultz as the tight end. He's going to have to hit the Noah Browns and his other options, especially if Nico Collins is going to garner the attention he deserves. 28-24. Cleveland Browns win the game. A sweater. But Joe Flacco gets it done. It's close all the way.
Okay.
It's close all the way. This is going to be one of the more entertaining games. Love to see either of these teams be really successful. So it's hard for me, but I'm going to go Browns 28-24.
I think this game is more exciting than the 8 o'clock game on Saturday. We have the Dolphins at the Chiefs. I heard it's going to be -3 degrees. Already, really tough game for Miami. But I'm not going to sit here and say that we should count them out just yet. It was a devastating loss and a devastating result of the season for Miami to not lock down the division. Buffalo was a catastrophe for 10 weeks. There's no way that Miami can collapse and still expect going forward that they're going to be different, This comes back to what we were saying about Jacksonville, and I don't want to poke that bear too much because I know Jacksonville is eliminated, but it's exciting to see that.
It's all right. I deserve it. I already took a shot at the Raiders.
that $20 we can put together on a fight when we're here January 20th. All right?
Beautiful.
All right. Go check out the UFC videos on the tube. By the way, Twan's doing a great job. But
stop it.
The Dolphins and the Chiefs. We have a spread of 4 here. The over-under is 43.5. I think it's going to be a really tough game to pass the football. I think that if there is a receiver that goes over 100, it's Tyreek Hill, but I don't think that it's likely that a single receiver goes over 100. I think
screen passes, right? It's so short.
Screen passes. I think it's ground and pound, play action. The team that commits the least turnovers and the defense that plays better is going to be the winner of this game, hands down.
So then who's your X factor?
My X factors in this game, on the Dolphin side, Mostert and Achane. Obviously, Mostert not playing last week. I feel like it might give him the opportunity to be a little bit more healthy. We saw Achane have a huge first half, and then the second half, it was like Miami forgot how to play football.
Yep.
And I was saying to my guy Mike in the office, who is the Dolphins fan, very frustrated at the moment, by the way. I thought the Dolphins' loss was more on coaching. If you want my personal opinion, their only plan was, all right, how do we get Tyreek the ball in space? And yeah, Tyreek dropped 3 passes that he would likely catch 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10. Mm-hmm. But Cedric Wilson was getting one-on-one coverage throughout the whole game. You ran crazy amount of motions, and I understand that Jalen Waddle's not out there, right? But Jeff Wilson is still a really good third option as far as a backup running back goes. He had a really decent game. I think Jeff Wilson's going to have another decent game in this, even though the 2 other running backs are still likely to be involved. I think running the football is going to be extremely crucial, and I think the team that runs the ball more effectively is likely going to be on top in this one. So on the Dolphins side, those are my X factors. On the Chiefs side, I know I talked about Pacheco and running the football, but I don't think that's what's going to make or break the Chiefs. I think being able to have Watson, Gray, and MVS make those catches, not the 3rd and 7 or 3rd and long catches that it's like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't catch that. It's the consistency throughout the game.
Yeah.
You know that the ball is going to be passed regardless of the weather conditions, right? You would think that a guy like MVS coming from Green Bay, already having experience in the Chiefs system, should be a guy that would step up in that scenario, right? So I'm hoping that that's the case. I'm not expecting any of these guys to have drastic stat lines like 60-plus yards or anything like that. But the catches that need to be made to progress the offense has to be done. Rashee Rice is going to have a really tough matchup if X is covering him or if Ramsey is covering him. You talk about the Miami safeties all the time. Holland's obviously, being one of those guys. It's tough for Miami's defense with how banged up that they are, which should mean that all the more these guys should be able to keep that offensive consistency going.
When I look at a Dolphins team that's been struggling like this, going to play in the cold weather, I do get a little feared versus Kansas City, who's also been struggling. And let's call a spade a spade. They've looked pretty bad at a lot of points throughout this year. I'm not going to say most points, but they haven't looked good for a fair amount of the season.
Going into this game, do you feel like Chiefs resting their starters last week and still getting a win is a better momentum coming in than what the Dolphins have coming into this?
I do. I really do. And that's what's getting, how much I hate the Chiefs. And I'm not, and you know what? I'm not going to pick the Chiefs because I hate them that much. How about that?
Okay.
But,
okay.
X Factor Taylor Swift. But regardless, when it comes down to it, I think you said it perfectly. Is this is going to come down to the better defense and who runs the ball. As far as defense goes, Kansas City's defense has been their bright spot this year. The Kansas City's defense played well. It's hard to say that they haven't. And the Dolphins' defense has played better than I expected. But the Dolphins' secondary is what's really good, and they have a pretty good pass rush, which against the run, they can get a little exposed.
For sure.
The Chiefs are almost similar in the sense that they have Chris Jones and Nick Bolton able to stop the run, but their corners and their secondary aren't overly great at tackling. They're good at coverage.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with the Dolphins. As far as X Factor goes, Devon Achane, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco's the other X Factor for me. I mean, he runs
Running the
angry,
ball.
he runs hard.
You could say offensive lines, too.
You could, but I think Achane and Mostert's combo with sprinkling a little bit of Jeff Wilson is going to be a lot for, especially the amount of volume you get. You run the ball 40 times this game. You run the ball maybe 50 times this game. You just feed this to these guys because Miami does really well when they're working the running and then can do a little bit of play action. Yeah. And I think that's where you're going to see the bigger pass plays is the play action plays, not to the Tyreeks, to the tight end that's going to be in the middle of the field, to Smythe, to Barrios in the slot. It's going to be some different kind of stuff.
And it's going to be interesting to see how long that script kind of gets dictated, right? Because you run the ball 50 times in a game. You'd like to think that the Chiefs' defense is eventually going to creep up. Mm-hmm. You get one-on-one with Waddle or Hill, that's a matchup you're taking 10 out of 10 times.
And that's where teams, it almost makes me think that Mike McDaniels knows this, and he's kind of playing a little bit of, he's not showing his cards at the end of the regular season. He's waiting to the playoffs to say, oh, shit, what do we do here?
Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Where the Chiefs win, ref show. That's where it'll be.
Of course.
That's where it'll be.
Course.
The Chiefs win, ref show.
But my prediction for this game, I do have the Chiefs winning. Look, I know in a colder game, people are gonna be hammer the under. Every single time everybody says hammer the under, it goes over. So I'm gonna adjust that line a little bit, adjust it to 40, so take it down a couple of points. I'll take the Chiefs W over 40 points, and I'll take the over on rushing yards for almost every single back involved in this game.
Love it.
Pacheco over 70 yards on the ground. I'll take Jeff Wilson at 25 plus yards. Mostert, I might take more of a touchdown than the yards.
Yep.
In Achane, I would take the scrimmage yards because I feel like there's going to be a lot of balls thrown at or behind the line of scrimmage, scheming them to get open a little bit more in that scenario.
I think Mike McDaniel is going to call a really fun game.
Yeah.
I think that it's not going to be fun in the pass sense. I think you're going to see a lot of movement, though. I know they like to use motion, but I think you're going to see a uncomfortable amount of motion this week.
Do you think Tyreek, and obviously, Tyreek is going to play in this game and everything like that, but are you concerned about his injury status, knowing the past 6 weeks he's really been toughing it out on that field?
I am.
I know you don't like him.
I am.
But
I know I don't. I do think he's toughing it out. I'll give it to him. He's toughing it out, and I think he really is hurt. I really do think he's hurt.
Yeah.
The person that I'm most scared for is his son that put the fire in the house. but regardless, back to reeling it in because the bumps and bruises. I'm sure it didn't come from anything else. But.
My God.
But regardless, he's toughing out an injury. It does make me nervous. And I think they know that he's and I think they're going to take it a little bit easier with him. And I think when you look at a game like this, you give it to him when it's one-on-one. You're not scheming up the game to go to Tyreek Hill. Mm-hmm. You got to scheme it up for Achane and Mostert and Wilson this week.
Yeah, and I would think that Big Red has the kryptonite for Tyreek Hill, the best that they could.
The best that they could. But then again, it's Big Red is is he as good of a coach as we always say? Because sometimes he finds himself in these situations where he's a great coach. Now when I say that, this is because I'm hearing people that I work with say that he's up there with Bill Belichick. He's fucking not.
Oh, I mean, Bill Belichick, I feel like, is an echelon of his own. But to say that he's not like the, if you're talking about all-time conversation, he's the second best all-time coach currently in the NFL right now. What are you gonna say, Pete Carroll, dude?
No. But like, if you're gonna say top 5 coaches all time, is he in there?
And he's close. He's not there, but he is close. He's top 10. I honestly, dude, to do what he's done in 2 different organizations differently and had that success. I know as a Patriot fan, coming from the Eagles and the Chiefs, that you're not going to credit that. But, like, I can respect what he did on the Eagles as a Giants fan, know that it was great. And if it was just the Eagles, that's one thing. But he came over to Kansas City, and if you were to just say that he was gifted Patrick Mahomes with that.
I'm not going to say he's gifted,
I was going to say, you
right.
could say the same thing about Belichick, because he had 4 straight losing seasons without Brady.
I'm not going to say the Patrick Mahomes thing. I am going to say, though, when you're in Philly and you have that team and then you don't win the Super Bowl, that's like a...
Oh, dude... McNabb wasn't great anywhere else after Andy Reid there.
Yeah.
That team that they thought was going to be their super team, it wasn't that. Like, Diasamwar and all that. That wasn't because that was scripted like that. That was the back end of Reid. He had great consistency and success prior to that.
He did. I don't know that I'm ready to chalk it up as like, dude, I honestly think if you're looking at like best, and now Andy Reid, where his big argument comes in is his resume. He's been doing it for a long time, consistently been good. But I think you look at some of the coaches, like, dude, I would rather, I think, have Mike Vrabel as a coach than I think I would Andy Reid.
I don't know if I say it. And look, I think Vrabel's a great coach. It's just tough because Vrabel's so young in his career. At this rate, if he continues at the same duration, I'm all about it. But like Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, those guys are all in that same conversation. Yes. They just haven't done the longevity to say, and that's the same thing on why you don't give a guy credit over a Belichick, because the longevity that is sustained for.
And that's where I find it to get tricky, though, is like Andy Reid looks so good with his resume, but like I'd like to see how some of these other coaches that we're seeing that I think will last long term as well in the league end up stacking up by the time it's all over. That's kind of where I'm standing. Now, of course, I'm just throwing a little extra shade to the Chiefs because, like,
yeah, you definitely are. Dudes, and it's like I just feel like the Chiefs are the only team since the Patriots that you can, I'm not saying they're there, but you can flirt with that dynasty word.
I'm not going to disagree with that.
No other team has done that yet. Even, look, Shanahan, with everything that he's done, hasn't even won the bowl.
He hasn't won but yeah, that really does suck. That makes me so upset because I do like Kyle Shanahan, and as far as X's and O's goes, I think he might be better at X's and O's than Andy Reid.
Yeah, I think a lot of the greatness that's really happened in Kansas City has came from the free will of allowing a guy like Patrick Mahomes to be a part of the X's and O's, whereas Shanahan, it's not like that at all. And I'm interested to see. And obviously, Andy Reid has full say at the end of the day. But I am interested to see if Mahomes didn't have that grasp on the play calls and designing plays and all of that, maybe this year goes differently. Maybe this year, like, they have more success. And I know that they don't have the weapons, but that's just all kind of like a hypothetical thing,
Yeah, I just think when you have a team with, piss-poor weapons, like when we had – I'm not going to translate because this year is actually not the year to compare it. So you know what? Just don't love the guy. He's a good coach. Yeah. I'm not ready to call him top 5 all time.
And I think that.
And I think they're. I know you didn't say that. Now I'm gaslighting you.
Yeah.
Look what you turned me into. But I'm very curious to see where it all stacks up when you see the Vrabels, the McVays, the Shanahans, the Harbaughs, when their careers end. I'm curious to see where we see them stack next to where we saw Andy Reid's career at.
If Harbaugh wins a Super Bowl this year, like it definitely doesn't, in my eyes, it doesn't surpass a Reid, but it gets him a lot closer.
Gets him damn close, dude. Gets him damn close.
Coming over to the Sunday slate, we have the Steelers at the Bills starting off. Look, again.
Let me start with this one. Kev Sinatra, this one's for you. Listen, I know you're in LA or you're in California. I know things change when you're out west. People sometimes get a little weird. Not you, Henry and Mike. I fucking love you guys. But Kev, come on, we got to talk about this, buddy. Where did this attitude come from? You're giving me lip. You're giving me lip about the Bills. But if I remember at the beginning of the season, we had a little wager. You owe me 2 things. One of which is 2 Santarpio's pies. The way I like it is hot pepper garlic. We're going to have Gomes over, right? We're going to have Tony over. We're going to have Ben, Mike. We're going to have the guys over. We're going to eat it, and you're going to sit in the corner. You're going to watch. Kev,
Yeah,
okay?
Kev, you better get that family discount because we're not talking 2 Zals. We're talking about 6-8 right now.
Yeah, come on. All right, so you owe me 2 Zaz because the Pats sniped the game from the Bills, but someone's candy ass has got to go through a table, Kev. Someone's candy ass has got to go through a table, and I don't think it's me because I think the Pats snuck a game from the Bills. So I'm just hearing a lot of talking. I'm not seeing enough doing, Kev. So
Oh shit!
When we come back, I think we just got to get it set up. I think we got to get a nice folding table. I'll buy it for you. We'll get a nice folding table. We're gonna paint it. It's going to have a picture of, Bill Belichick looking down at Josh Allen and maybe an interception thrown in there or something like that because God knows death taxes and Josh Allen will turn the ball over. But your ass is going right through it, Kevin. So, with that being said, the X factor in this game is Josh Allen, Steve.
Okay.
If Josh Allen can stop turning the ball over as frequently, again, you throw 1 pick and it's not a bad pick, I'm not concerned with that. But you have 3 turnovers and you're doing that in the playoffs. You're not going to beat playoff teams doing that, Steve. They got lucky in beating the Dolphins. The Dolphins kind of beat themselves in that sense. They should have, they kept the game close with the Pats because of how bad the offense did.
Yeah.
He's just lucky Bailey Zappi's worse.
Bailey Zappi handled the Steelers. We'll see if Josh Allen can.
He did. We'll see if he can. We'll see if he can. And when I'm looking at this, I'm saying Josh Allen's the X factor, and he's just got to dial in. He's got to block all the noise out, dial in, play your best football game. That's how you're going to win. When it comes down to the Steelers, Najee Harris. Najee Harris has really started to pick it up. Now, again, I'm not drafting him first in fantasy next year, Steve. I can't do that to myself again.
Even though you kind of are hinting at a little up and up for Najee.
Najee's going up and up, dude. I got to say, dude, he's got, bringing someone like Jalen Warren in, baby, it's upped his game a lot. I don't know if it's because it's not all the workload of him. He kind of brings a different element to the game, or it's just driven that competitive spirit in him. But what did I say? It's going to be the Derrick Henry thing where the first couple of years in his career, he's a little quiet, and then all of a sudden he bursts onto the scene one year, and it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
Steve, the Buffalo Bills are going to win this game 23-17.
Wow, close.
It's going to be a closer game than you think. Josh Allen's going to play pretty good, but the Bills are going to get back to methodical football. They're going to run the ball with James Cook 20 times. They're going to spread the ball a little bit. Stephon Diggs is going to be upset because he's going to have 4 catches for 68 yards, and it's going to stop there because Shakir is going to be getting targets for some damn reason. But the Bills are going to edge out and win this football game.
Okay. So I also wanted to talk about the running game, and when you talk about Pittsburgh, I feel like you have to, consider those guys, Warren and Najee. But since you said that, I'm going to go a different direction as my X factor.
Okay.
Mike Tomlin.
Love it.
I think Mike Tomlin is the X factor. And look, when you're in a scenario like Pittsburgh, right, doubted all year, I don't want to even say that they had real highs because they really didn't.
They didn't.
They
won 10 games somehow.
Yeah. They had bad lows, but I would say in the past decade, probably one of the worst 10-win football teams that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have to run the football. And I also had here Josh Allen as my X factor because I just feel like these are the 2 most important parts of this game is Pittsburgh being able to have time of possession go in their favor, and I feel like a lot of the case of their wins, that's the scenario. But with Josh Allen, it's like if you do those 2 turnovers in the red zone or driving down the field versus likely any other team, that's not a win for Buffalo, and you're talking about a very different scenario at this moment. What I do want to say, a 10-point spread in the playoffs is absolutely crazy.
Absurd,
I
dude.
think that's a lot. And as much better of a team I think Buffalo is compared to Pittsburgh, I think the Steelers cover the spread. Even if you were to buy a couple extra points just to be safe, so be it. 12 points, there's absolutely no way that it's a 12-point separation in the final score. On here, I had over 32. The over-under is 36.5. I had over 32. But the more that I think of it, the more I think it's gonna be less than that. And every single time you flirt with these 30-point over-unders, it's a real fishy scenario. Because, 2 teams can score 14 points literally like that.
Yep.
But I really feel like this is going to be like a – Pittsburgh isn't going to win if Buffalo's scoring 24 points. The only way that this can be close is if it's like a 17-10, 17-13 type of ball game, and that's exactly what we just saw versus Miami. In this scenario, I think the Bills win. I think the Steelers cover. I talked about the over. If I was to pick some guys to score some touchdowns here, I go right to, the Pittsburgh backfield. I think one of the sure bets that we've seen kind of established throughout the season is the amount of receptions that Dalton Kincaid is going to have over the course of this game. Mm-hmm. I don't want to say that he's changed that offense. I think Allen and Kincaid have developed a great relationship. I don't think that that's the reason why Diggs and Allen don't have that rapport that they're used to having.
Because it happened before Kincaid came in. You kind of saw the animosity.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's like a disagreement between the two. I don't know what the scheme is, whatever it may be. Shakir's getting the ball a lot. Gabriel Davis is banged up. They need to find different ways to win. This is going to be an interesting game. I'm happy it's the 1 o'clock one because I do feel like these back-end games are going to be really fun. 4:30 Packers at Cowboys. If I was to come up with a parlay, a guaranteed parlay for this weekend, it would be a Chiefs W. It would be the Steelers to cover the spread, the Packers to cover this spread, the Rams to win, Kincaid over on his catches. So I hope you guys are all writing this down because that's a 6-leg winner right
That's
there.
money.
Yeah.
That's except for, you can take the Chiefs one out.
But in this game, a 7.5 point spread, regardless of how good the Cowboys have been at home, I'm not buying it. I honestly think that it's going to be a really close game. I think the margin of victory is 3 or 4 points, and I honestly think it's a coin toss. I think the Cowboys are coming in here heavy favorites. I don't think it's that way. LaFleur has a lot of playoff experience. I know that this is a young roster. LaFleur's experienced enough where he's like, if we shut down CeeDee Lamb, we actually have a shot at this. Mm-hmm. And I know that the Packers secondary is banged up, but I have to think in this scenario, regardless of how good Dak is playing, that you have to double team CeeDee Lamb. Yep. I feel like that has to be the case. My X factor here is the Packers defense. If they don't show up, if you don't see Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith get after the quarterback, it's going to be a long day. But I don't see the Cowboys having the running success that would prevent that from happening. It's the Cowboys in the playoffs. We've been here before. We've seen this. I've heard if McCarthy doesn't, get past a scenario like this, that seat could get hot.
Gone.
Yeah?
Dude, gone. If they don't get past this, gone guaranteed. Because at that point, it's a coaching thing.
For the Cowboys, the most important players, I talked about CeeDee Lamb and talked about the Packers defense. But if that is the scenario where CeeDee Lamb is doubled, someone's going to have to step up. And Brandon Cooks always plays great at home. But I think it's more important for Jake Ferguson. Fergie. Yep. Fergalicious definition. I think it's more important for Fergie to be involved in this game. 6-7 catches. Doesn't have to be for like $120 either. It could be for like 70, 80 yards, whatever the case may be. I think his involvement in this is absolutely crucial. Cook something up here. I do think the Packers win. But if you want to be safe, take the point. 7.5 points is a lot. 10 points is a lot. 7.5 is a lot for a much better team the Packers are. Under 52. I think everybody thinks that there's going to be points scored here. I don't think so. I think the Cowboys, we're going to see those struggles. And I think that if for the Packers to have their best chance to win this game, it's both teams scoring under 24 points. With that being the case, the over-under being 50.5, this would be just slightly under at about like a 48 or so. I think Dontavian Wicks, who hit me a big parlay last week, and Jaden Reed, I know that those are going to be guys, and obviously, you got your Christian Watson and your Romeo Doubs as your top two dogs. Wicks and Reed, those are your most important guys for offensive efficiency. No doubt. These guys make short catches, have the yak impact that I feel like is going to be crucial versus a Cowboys defense that I feel like if they start predicting what the Packers offense is doing, especially knowing how poorly that the Packers have been running the football, that's when it can get a little bit one-dimensional, and that's when the Cowboys might get on the better side of things. I don't think that's the case. Mm-hmm. Packers W, under 52, Wicks and Reed, over on the yards, over on the receptions. One of those two guys gets in the end zone.
Jaden Reed and Jordan Love are my two X factors for the Packers. Dude, if they can sling, if they can keep that connection going, the Cowboys are going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I think the Packers cover the spread. I do think this game ends game-winning field goal from Brandon Aubrey.
Wow.
I think it's going to be that close, and I think we've seen it time and time again where it's like Dak has the ball, they have the chance to go down and win, and it just doesn't happen. I think this time we see he gets him into the field goal range, and Brandon Aubrey, who has been the most reliable kicker all year long, is going to hit a 45-yard field goal to win the game. And I think you're going to look and you're going to see this is one of those games where very competitive. It's not going to be ugly football. It's going to be good-looking football. But this is something that Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, Romeo, these young guys, they're going to hold their heads high, and they're going to say, damn, we're here, and we're here to play, and watch out for the Packers going forward. I am going to give the edge to the Cowboys, because if I don't, Chris is going to kill me. But in all real talk, I am going to edge the Cowboys. It's going to be damn close, though. I think you're going to see 7's too big of a spread. These Packers, they don't go away easy. They don't go away easy. Jordan Love has played phenomenal football, especially at the end of this year. Jaden Reed has really burst onto the scene. I don't even think Watson's a second option on that team at this point. I think it's Jaden Reed is like the guy that Jordan Love connects with the most.
I think the Packers should look to trade Watson this offseason. And look, like
I agree.
I know that you drafted him higher, and you probably haven't seen his potential. I just feel like you might have found some things that work in that offense this year. If you go into your wide receiver room next year, and it would be Wicks at the 4, Dobbs at the 3, Reed at the 2, and you go get a dog,
yep,
then you're talking.
You're talking, because Musgrave's playing good. Even Tucker Kraft has been playing well. Like, dude, you got a good young team. Like, you have a real good young team. Why not get something out of getting rid of Christian Watson?
They should
even if it's for a lower draft.
They should definitely look to add a back end, later round running back, James Stark-esque. That's a different mold than Jones and Dillon, because I just feel like I know Jones isn't a bruiser, but he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Dillon's a bruiser. I feel like you need like a change of pace, not a Tony Pollard, but like I said, like a James Stark type of player.
Shiftier,
yes,
right?
Yes.
You need someone that's a little shiftier, like a
cause some pop. You need some pop.
Yeah, can someone get to the outside? Like, dude, I love that. Man, I want to take the Packers so damn bad, dude. I want to take them so bad, but I just got this feeling that the Cowboys are going to edge it out. It's going to be a damn close game, but the Packers at the end of this game can hold their heads high because they gave it all they had. They made it into the playoffs. There's no hangover from losing Aaron Rodgers. The Packers are right back here.
Be real interesting if the Cowboys and the Eagles played each other second round. Real interesting.
Ugh.
Coming over to the 8 o'clock game where we're going to differentiate the most. Rams at Lions. Guys, I think the Rams are the biggest lock of the week. Look, I know Twan loves the Lions. I think, and I said this before and you completely disagreed, I'm going to beat that drum again. The Lions are the Vikings from last year. I think it's going to be a good game. I just don't think that they're going to come out on top. I think even though this is the suspected over, I think it's over regardless. There's going to be points scored here. If you want me to be honest, I think Dan, I don't want to say he's going to get exposed, but I kind of feel that way. Like, I think Dan Campbell is kind of going to be the difference in this. He's my X factor for the Lions. If he comes out with a great offensive scheme, they play complementary defense. And I want to say that they're aggressive, but not too aggressive. Like, not get 2 flags at the 2 when you're going for a 2-point conversion, take the points and go for overtime. It's not that, Dan Campbell. You need like a little bit more of a level-headed type of
like
dude.
Like 4th and 5 punt.
Yeah. Yeah, that type. Yeah, especially at your own like 35 or 40.
Yeah.
Obviously, Gibbs and Monty being able to run the ball, slow down Aaron Donald, and just kind of keep the Rams offense off the field. And I feel like the Lions, I don't think that they have to do this, but I feel like you're playing defense by playing offense longer. And it's just, if you win that time of possession battle, with the way I think points are going to be scored, I think that's going to be extremely important for this matchup.
I agree on the points, dude. I think this game is points all over it. I think you're going to see a lot of good running the football between Kyron Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery. And like you said, if you want to hold the ball, you're going to feed David Montgomery 5 times on that drive. You're going to rush it with Gibbs 5 times on that drive. And then you're going to start smuggling the passes, especially if Laporta's not going to be available. But you hear the seriousness in my voice, Steve.
I do.
There are a lot of people writing off the Lions.
They're the favorite.
I know that they're the favorite, but there's a lot of people looking at this game and saying, watch out for those damn Rams, man. Stafford coming back into his hometown. It's like the Lions fans aren't even going to be pissed if Stafford wins. This just seems like the game that everyone's going to kind of pick the underdog. ultimately will end up picking the underdog, and Dan Campbell knows that. The Lions know that. They're going to come out. They're going to play hard football. They don't want to get written off. They haven't been in these playoffs in a long, long time.
I know.
They want in. They want to stay in because they understand that outside of San Fran, the NFC could be theirs.
Honest opinion. Do you think that if the Lions win this round that they could beat any team next round?
The Niners
Meaning,
are the only
like,
team that scares me for them. I think they beat the Eagles.
Or in the Cowboys?
Yeah, I think they should have beat the Cowboys the first time, if I'm being honest.
No, that was a great game. I just feel like the atmosphere is like a little bit different now.
It is a little bit different. And even, like, I get it, going into Dallas is a different story. But, I think these Lions are for real. I think they look and they see a team in their own state, Michigan, win the national championship. That fires them up, too. Like, watch out for Detroit. X factor for me, Steve. I want to say it's Jahmyr Gibbs, even though fantasy's over. I think David Montgomery is going to really wear down this Rams defense. He's going to wear it down, give him the ball 12 times, 13 times. If you get 75 yards and a touchdown out of it, that's a damn good performance, especially because you got to consider you're giving Gibbs the ball the other 15 times, and he's going to get you 80 yards and a touchdown.
Are you not concerned about Laporta missing this?
I really am concerned about it, but that's where I think they're going to realize and they're going to dial it in and they're going to say, dude, it's run the ball. Give the ball to Amon-Ra in the slot. Run the ball, Amon-Ra in the slot. Random Jameson Williams deep ball occasionally. Like, I think you could see some stuff happen here from Jameson Williams as well. And I think the Rams defense, you can put up points on them. Yeah. And if there's a defense that you can put up points on, the Lions are the team that just puts point. Like, they will pour it on if they can.
I just honestly feel like Laporta became Goff's security blanket throughout this season. And as great as Amon-Ra is, no doubt top 10 receiver in the NFL, will be mentioned in the positional rankings. I don't know if he's enough of a threat to make up for the loss of Laporta. I think Laporta gave them big plays. I think he helped with the play action. I think he's a better blocker than what people would really assume. I think the Lions will run the ball well in this game. I just don't know without Laporta if their passing game has enough with just Amon-Ra to do it. The next guy that's been performing well was a guy that wasn't even on their roster in the beginning of the year, and Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Yeah, I mean, and then isn't Reynolds hurt too?
That's what I'm saying.
Reynolds is hurt too. I get it. This is like, it just seems like the perfect storm for the Ravens to come in and upset. I just don't think the Lions are going to let it happen. So I'm going to go with the Lions. I agree with you. I think over and put whatever number they throw it at. I don't give a shit. They're scoring 30 each. Like, that's how this game's going to go. On the Rams side, the X factor is Aaron Donald. Like, can he stop that run? And that's what's going to decide this game.
I think the X factor on the Rams side is Kyren Williams, because if you know that Stafford's coming into this game and he's going to throw 300 yards. I honestly feel that way. I think both quarterbacks throw 300 yards. I think both quarterbacks will probably throw 2 passing touchdowns as well. Kyren Williams being able to get first downs and sustain drives and do the same thing that I just said for the Lions on the Rams side of the ball, I feel like is the difference. And I 100% feel a lot more confident in Sean McVay making decisions over Dan Campbell. I honestly do.
I don't disagree with that. I really don't disagree with that. What Dan Campbell brings to the table is the fact that his players will never quit on him. And if they are in a down spot, like, he will bring the fire. Mm-hmm. Like, he will genuinely bring the fire, and they'll come out and they'll play you all the way to the end. That team will never, never quit. And when you're playing against a defense that's a little bit weaker than some in the league, a high-powered, even without some of these weapons, a high-powered offense like Detroit has the ability to pour it on. And that may come from Jahmyr Gibbs all of a sudden lining out wider in the slot, because he can do that.
With 2 of your 3 teams that you really kind of rallied around this year, obviously with the exception of the Pats, Browns, Jags, and Lions, with 2 of those teams being in here, if both of those teams were eliminated this round, would that have your interest less in the playoffs?
I'm not recording the divisional round.
Really? No. I was gonna say, holy shit, Tom's gonna be in this field.
No, I will be really upset. But you know what? When I'm looking at the Browns, it's the best case scenario in that sense, because I really do like the Rams. So if it's the Lions losing and the Rams are the ones to beat them, the
Texans
Rams go on.
Rams,
I'm pulling for the Rams.
Yeah.
The Texans win. I'm pulling for them until they get to the Ravens. I'm not going to do that to you, Ant. I'm going to pull for the Ravens for you. Even when the Browns play them, I'm still pulling for the Ravens for you. I got you. Yeah, I think it's best case scenario on who they're playing if they lose. The way I see it, Steve, is, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the reins here. First X factor I'll do for the Bucs. It's Baker Mayfield. Like, can he go out there and play?
Okay.
Like, he looks like he's hurt. He's really hurt. Steve.
Yeah.
Like, he's limping off the field. He's
like
trying to tough it out.
Roethlisberger-esque.
Yeah, dude. Like, he's seriously hurt. Jalen Hurts also has his finger going sideways, or he's flipping off Brian Johnson. Like, I don't know what he's really doing. But the X factor for me on the Eagles, it's Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Can he get to the quarterback?
Okay.
Can he get to the quarterback? Now, there is another side X factor that I wanted to do for the Bucs, like Baker. It's because of his injury, but the other guys, it's Vita Vea.
Yeah.
Steve, Vita Vea.
Same impact on the other opposite sides of the ball for each team.
Where the Bucs can keep this game close is if Jalen Hurts' fingers still really messed up and he's having a hard time throwing the football, they're going to try and run. Vita Vea is the guy that's going to block 3 different holes.
Yeah. No, he is. He's a dominant dude, no doubt.
He's going to take the guard with his left, he's going to take the guard with his right, and he's going to put his head right into the center, and he's going to collapse the middle.
Is he fully healthy, Vita Vea?
He's playing. And you can even attribute it to the linebackers, too. You look at Devin White and you look at some of these other guys, and it's the Eagles should try and run this ball as much as they can.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, that's when they go to plan B, and that's pass the ball. But you also have to understand that both quarterbacks in this game are very hurt. I think we're in for an ugly one, Steve. I think it's like 16-13.
To come to the X factors, you want me to be honest, like you go to the 2 main guys on the Bucs side of the ball, right? You think of Mike Evans, you think of Rashad White. Mm-hmm. I honestly don't think that those are the guys that win them this game, because even though the Eagles' defense wasn't great this year, I think when it comes down to playoff football, you're going to hear names, Fletcher Cox, that you didn't hear all season, that's going to step up and play a little bit of a different role. You mentioned Jalen Carter. They have dogs at the linebacker. We haven't heard Hassan Reddick's name for a little bit, but this is a game where those dudes are going to feast, and they're going to have to shine. My X factor for the Eagles, it's Nick Sirianni. It's the coaching. I honestly feel like the past couple of weeks, dude, it has been a lot of questionable decisions, and they're just like, well, we have the personnel, we can win this. The Eagles are banged up. If they don't come in with a proper coaching script, this game is going to be extremely difficult. I think that 3 points, I think that's fair for a game like this.
Very fair.
I think where the over-under is 44, I honestly think it's going to be under.
Me too.
Similar to where I said that Steelers, I think it's going to be like that 17-10, 14-20 type of ball game. Real kind of, low scoring. On the Bucs side, I think that they need to play mistake-free football, but a name that gets overlooked so often, Chris Godwin. He might be the most healthy dude out of all these guys, their star potential that we're talking about. A.J. Brown's banged up. Devonta Smith is banged up. We haven't heard anything from Mike Evans, but at this point of the year, it would surprise me if he's fully healthy.
Yep.
Rashad White, I feel like he's a little bit nicked up.
The wear and tear, right? Like the volume that the guy's got. Yep.
20 weeks into the season, like it's a long time, but I feel like if Chris Godwin catches 5 balls in this game, I think those 5 balls and that impact is enough to give the Bucs the opportunity to win. I'm not saying that would lock it in, but it gives them their best opportunity to do so.
So I'm going to take the Eagles to win. Are you going to stay on the same thing, or are you going to go with the Bucs?
I'm going to take the Bucs.
I like it.
I honestly
love it.
I'm going to take the Bucs to win. It's not pretty, but to tell me that a 10-1 football team went 1-5 over the last 6 games, that's concerning to me.
Yeah. That's
trending in the wrong direction when your star quarterback gets hurt last week. And not only that, look, I know this has nothing to do with this week whatsoever, but you lost to the Giants. They haven't lost to the Giants in 3 years.
Yeah.
There's something wrong in Philly. We might have seen Philly peak, whether that was this year, whether that was the Super Bowl last year. Even if they win this, if they were to play a Rams or a Cowboys in another round, I think that they would lose to both of those teams.
I agree. I think the one team that they can beat right now is the Bucs, and that's because Baker looks really hurt.
I'm sorry to do this, but I think they would beat the Lions. I'm sorry to do this.
You don't actually believe that.
No, I actually do believe that. I actually do believe that.
How about this? Lions make it to the NFC Championship game. You're buying my ass a Jahmyr Gibbs jersey.
I'll buy you a steak and a Jahmyr Gibbs jersey. They're not fucking made. What's in it for me, though? Nothing.
You were right.
Yeah,
you're
exactly.
Right. Come on, I'll be depressed. I don't need.
It's okay. I think the under's a lock here. I do think Evans gets in the end zone, but I don't think he goes for 100 yards in this matchup, regardless of how you feel about the Eagles secondary. Any touchdown scores?
I'm gonna go with Monty.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Jaden Reed.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Kenneth Gainwell.
Wow.
I think you're going to see like Kenneth Gainwell, one of the like Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott. I'm going to go with Gainwell. I think you're going to see one of those guys get in the end zone this week.
I love it because I honestly feel like Gainwell was a playoff type of back for them. You know,
exactly.
I feel like his role always grows like in that manner.
Mm-hmm.
But since the Sandbox fans, these were the wild card preview predictions and X factors. You heard the picks. You heard us talking about the spreads, the over-unders. We talked about some touchdowns. Take the Rams, win some money. We're just trying to help you guys out. But we have football 3 days in a row for the last time ever. Let's not ever, but it seems
right.
like
they
ever.
blessed us well this
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
They blessed us well.
Absolutely.
Script writers, man, they were on one.
We got a lot of great storylines, and I'm so excited to see Stafford return to Detroit. But guys, we have a lot of content coming to you guys. Go over to YouTube, check out Twan breaking down the UFC scenarios coming up. A lot of fight stuff that is going to be cooking. Kyle Arrington's coming on the show. A couple other special guests coming on the show real soon. We're grinding. You guys know the deal. Always the best for you guys. Peace, love, peace.
Blooper?
Peace, love, 5 stars, nothing less.